Well, here we are at Manassas Park on the morning of Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. I'm waiting on VRE Manassas Line train 332 to take me down to Washington, D.C. for some cherry blossom viewing and a little bit of MARC rail fanning and some other rail fanning too. Just thought I'd give you guys today's agenda. Anyway, Manassas 332 will be showing up in less than 10 minutes. It's the last train of the morning. Leaves Broad Run Airport just after 8 a.m. Well, we're finally underway now. Next stop will be MARC Center. And in case you missed it, looks like they're building some new apartments, condos, townhouses, whatever these are going to be. Just keep on building and building. It's not just the DC area either. Even though it's only just turned to spring, a lot of these trees aren't yet flowering, and probably won't until April or May. Anyway, as you can see, I'm on the upper level of these gallery cars that VRE started acquiring in the late 2000s, early 2010s.
MARC Center. While on board VRE trains, masks are required.
We're getting a lovely horn show from the cab car. We're in the very last car, the cab car. Clifton, Virginia. A lot of rich folks live out here. It's a highly conservative part and otherwise fairly liberal Fairfax County. Originally here on the Manassas Line there was going to be a station called Western Fairfax. But the people of Clifton didn't apparently want the riffraff from Manassas and Manassas Park using Clifton as a parking lot, so that got axed in short order. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, I had to take that call. Anyway, right now we've just passed through Fairfax Station here in Fairfax County on the approach to Burke Center. I know this doesn't look much like suburban DC, but I assure you it is. It'll get a bit more built up the closer we get to town. Now we're starting to see some flowering trees. That's just the back of a shopping center my dad and I used to use in my younger days. I originally moved here to this area when I was about 7. And the one we're about to come up to is the old Guinea Road alignment. And that was a grade crossing until the early 2000s. Right there. In fact, there used to be a house somewhere around here that burned down, sank into the swamp. And there's the roof of Burke Center BRE. No, you can't see very well, but over there's a baseball diamond. This way through the trees, there's a substation. Now we're about to cross Accotink Creek, which is down below us. And this is Lake Accotink Park. We're right now between Rolling Road and Backward Road stations on our journey. Just thought I'd show that off to you guys.
Next station,
now we're passing by what used to be Potomac Yard. Back in the days of the
while on board BRE
Pennsylvania
trains,
Railroad and later Penn Central and Conrail, this was the southernmost extent of electrification for the Northeast Corridor. Eventually, they're supposed to be putting a new metro station in here. Frankly, they should have done that when these townhouses, condos, and even shopping was being placed here. But, you know, better late than never. But yeah, once upon a time when my dad used to ride these very rails, the old Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus train was parked here for their Washington, D.C. tour stop. Anyway, we're about to enter Crystal City. Now this is on a long bridge. Basically, the railroad bridge across the Potomac. And starting to catch sight of the cherry blossoms. Yep, there they are. Some of them, anyway. Now we're about to pass by I-395, which quite expectedly is choked with traffic in the direction of D.C. This is why we gotta support rail transit, people. So that commuters don't have to suffer. And there's the Tidal Basin over there, where even more cherry blossom trees are in bloom. And we are now on the approach to L'Enfant Station at L'Enfant Plaza, where I will be getting off in just a few minutes. Whereupon I shall be bidding Manassas 332 adieu. I don't mind the tunnel. Actually, this isn't even a tunnel, it's just a bunch of DC streets and buildings over an open cut. Now we're about to see off Manassas 332 as it makes its way to its final destination of Washington, D.C. Union Station. There's the engineer in the cab car letting off a couple of loud blasts. MPI 36PH3C number V54, providing the motive power for this morning's train. And over there you can see another MP36PH3C, too far away to get the road number on it. But it's just sitting there waiting. Now you see all these old catenary poles here? These are left over from the days of the Pennsy. Again, electrification used to extend all the way to Potomac Yard back then. L'Enfant Station itself, is quite a long one. Here's the 6th Street entrance. And over there's the 7th Street entrance. Alright, so this is just part of what's called the Southwest DC Wharf. And across the water is East Potomac Park, where you can see just some of the cherry blossoms. There's one of the Potomac River water taxis taking off. Or is he? It looks like he's taking off. But where I'm headed is back under I-395 to the Tidal Basin, where pretty much everybody gathers for cherry blossoms. And to my right here, you will see the entrance to the Anthem Theater. This is where I took in just my second Hatsune Miku concert back in 2018. It's part of Miku Expo. First one I went to was in was in New York City at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Yep, and down there is some more of the Southwest Wharf. Cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms everywhere. Here at West Potomac Park by the Tidal Basin, as you can see, the area is lined with blooming cherry blossoms. There's the Jefferson Memorial, which I'm zooming in on right now. We're just a couple of days past peak bloom, and some of the cherry blossom petals are already starting to... Or, actually, we're still within the peak bloom, because some of the cherry blossom petals have yet to come out. So I guess we're still within the expected peak bloom time frame. Here's some tandem paddle boats you can rent as part of the cherry blossom viewing.
Yeah, that one definitely would have got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to catch this before my great move out to the SLC in April. Here we have a stone lantern that was supposed to be brought here in 1921 but diplomatic relations kind of soured between then and when it actually came here in 1954. Yeah, there was the little matter of World War II. But then, like I said in 1954, this year's stone lantern was finally brought to the U.S. and erected right here. And it is here that I say my fond farewells to the cherry blossoms as we go and do some rail fanning. Washington Metro, MARC, Amtrak, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, to quote the Rohirrim in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, we ride north. Here's another interesting feature of the DC Wharf, these variable height fountains. Really neat. Excuse me. You want to talk about your art installations? This is a really awesome one. Okay, moving right along. Now we're at Gallery Place Chinatown Metro Station. And on this level we have the Red Line. We're currently on the oldest section of the Red Line, which opened in 1976. Gallery Place's opening was delayed, however, because of some elevator troubles. Anyway, these vaulted arch ceilings you see here are very typical of Metro's underground stations here in DC. with a couple of exceptions, those being Anacostia, Forest Glen, and Wheaton. We're going only as far as Silver Spring, as I wanted to show you a few developments. So now we're about to pass by the IBC engine yards on the upcoming Purple Line light rail. Here's the VRE section of said yards.
I don't want to hear shit you got to say.
Here we've got some MARC cars mixed in with the VRE vehicles.
I remember that was last week.
Just opposite that is the Metro yards for the Red Line with Brentwood. Somewhere further along, you'll start seeing MARC and Amtrak assets.
About to get off the train.
Guess the Red Line's already left the Northeast Corridor. Oh well. Here's Rhode Island Avenue, the original terminus of the oldest part of the Red Line. This is Silver Spring Metro Station. Until 1990, it was the eastern end of the Washington Metro Red Line. Then they extended it up 2 stations to Wheaton via Forest Glen, and then in 1998 extended it to its present terminus of Glenmont. Now you see that aerial structure there? One of these days that's going to be carrying the Purple Line light rail. And there's where the light rail station's going to be. Silver Spring Transit Center. Fortunately, they've been scrambling to find a contractor to continue construction. Also happens to be a MARC station. There's the westbound platform. And there's that CSX freight. That we passed by on our way here. More interested in is the returning Capital Limited train that will be approaching here in just a bit. Capital Limited, you probably can't hear me. I'm going to the other side. See you in a bit. Now, Silver Spring itself lies along former Baltimore and Ohio tracks. This is the MARC Brunswick Line, so named for Brunswick, Maryland. And in a moment, we're going to see the returning Capital Limited. Capital Limited itself was a named train of the Baltimore and Ohio that stopped running in 1971 when Amtrak took over all passenger train services. But, excuse me, the train started up again about a decade later. And even though it doesn't completely follow the original route, nowadays, once you get past Pittsburgh, I think, it follows the route of the Penzies Broadway Limited into Chicago. The westbound Chicago-bound train is numbered 29, and the eastbound train for DC is numbered 30. And along with the Amtrak Auto Train, it is one of only 2 superliner consists east of Chicago. Anyway, it should have left Rockville by now. Yeah. So it should be here in just a bit. Anyway, here's more of that CSX freight that's passing us by. And I think I see the tail end of the train. Yep, there it is. Basically, this line and the Camden Line are both former B&O tracks. Camden Line, of course, is named for Camden Station in Baltimore. Once a 2-level station with the lower-level tracks, allowing trains to continue north on towards Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, the old Mount Royal station is now the Maryland Institute College of Art. And nowadays, only CSX freights ever pass by there. Basically, the Baltimore and Ohio merged with the Chesapeake and Ohio to form the Chessie system. In much the same way, the Pennsylvania and the New York Central came together to form Penn Central. But just as the Penn Central brought the New York, New Haven, and Hartford into the fold later on, the Chessie would bring the Western Maryland into the fold. And then, of course, in the mid-'80s, the Chessie system merged with the Seaboard system of the U.S. Southeast to form what is today CSX. All right. Huh. Looks like they're coming in on the other track. That was P42AC number 138 on the point. How do I know that? Well, if the number is between 1 and 215, it's a P42AC Genesis locomotive. If it's in the 800s, it's a refurbished P40AC. And anything in the 700s, you're only ever going to see on the Empire corridor, because those are P32 DMDCs, dual mode locomotives. Anyway, let's head back. There's the old station house right there. Just thought I'd briefly show it to you. Okay, so the battery on my other camera died. I'm continuing from my phone. Here we have a yellow line train heading for Huntington here at Fort Totten Station. Now, most metro transfer stations will feature side platforms on the upper level and an island platform on the lower level. Not here. The two levels are separated by a mezzanine, so both the upper level for the red line and the lower level for the green and yellow lines have island platforms. Making this station interesting further is the fact that it's partially underground. Only this time we have a bit of a modification of the arched ceiling construction typical of Washington Metro underground stations. The way the underground half of Fort Totten and on the yellow and green lines it's kind of like a continuation. Now we're at College Park, University of Maryland station on the green and yellow the above ground section. Originally this had opened for the green line coming northeast out of Fort Totten in 1993. It wasn't connected to the rest of the green line until 1998 when the Georgia Avenue section connecting Fort Totten with U Street was finally opened. Over here, you've got College Park MARC Station on the Camden Line, which, like the Brunswick Line, as I said earlier, is former B&O trackage. However, like the Brunswick Line, you're not going to be seeing any MARC trains here until about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Because as I've said in one of my other videos, with the exception of the MARC Penn line, only trains only operate in the peak directions. That's toward DC in the morning and from DC in the afternoon. The Penn line, however, being former Pennsylvania Railroad and Northeast Corridor, that features much more frequent service and is the only line Washington Union to feature weekend service. I'll try to get some of that for you too. You can see the Amtrak Crescent train. Heading back to New York's Penn Station. Is that the Crescent? Or is that the Crescent down there? Maybe that's some Northeast regional train. Anyway, over there, there's the DC streetcar. Okay. So I think that's actually the Crescent, Amtrak train number 20, en route to New York Penn Station. Yep, that down there's the Northeast Corridor. Also the MARC Penn Line. So named because this used to be the Pennsylvania Railroad. Excuse me. Most services terminate at Baltimore Penn Station, and a few of them go on further to Perryville, near Delaware. Ah. That sounds like MARC Penn Line train number 424. Anyway, there's some more MARC equipment over there. Coaches, some diesels. But check this out. That's right. MARC owns the only HHP 8s left in service anywhere on U.S. rails, serving only the Penn Line, of course. In fact, they're the only electric locomotives MARC has remaining. And there's Noma Gallaudet, originally opened as Florida Avenue, New York Avenue Gallaudet, was changed to Noma in the 2010s, Noma being short for North of Massachusetts Avenue. It was from that platform where I saw MARC Penn Line train 431 coming back from Baltimore Penn into this here Washington Union Station. Ah. And here's MARC Penn Line train 424 en route to Baltimore Penn. With an MPI 36PH on the point. Meanwhile, we see here a deadhead move of a bunch of Genesis locomotives. And there again is the DC streetcar. And so ends my big adventure for today. I really need to work on my first camera technique. Train of the PM rush back here to Manassas Park. Anyway, just wanted to make sure to get some MARC footage in at all before I move, wherever that's going to be. Anyway, I'll see you next time.